What up, everybody? This is the BJ Classic, Maurice Johnson, and I'm here. You know, I started my blog up that's going to be in correlation with this site. So, with that in mind, I decided that my blog's going to start up a question or my initial opinion. But for those who don't like to read blogs, things of that nature, I'm gonna make a video about something I wrote recently. Rajon Rondo was talking about how he's the best point guard in the NBA. And, it got me really thinking, like, well, it didn't get me thinking, but I started seeing all these pictures popping up on Facebook with people talking about, oh, no, this is the best point guard, this is the best point guard, this is the best point guard. And I was shocked by how many people really thought that Rajon Rondo was the best point guard today. I'm not saying Rajon Rondo is a bad point guard, but I think some of the arguments are a bit flawed. That's all I am saying. Some of the arguments for Rajon Rondo was like, hey, when Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook and all them get a championship ring, then we could talk. Now that I do with Rajon Rondo, I got some stats over here. So as I do these stats, and so you'll see me look over here occasionally, but don't worry about this. What's going on. Now, Rajon Rondo is a tremendous point guard to me. He is a triple-double threat. He has an ability unlike any other point guard right now to make plays. I think last year he averaged somewhere around 11 assists a game, which I think is really good. It's a great number. But the thing about Rondo is that, one, we made the championship ring, right? Kevin Garnett was putting up 19 and 10, and Pearson Allen, we both putting up upwards of 18 points a game. At the same time, Rondo only put up 11 points and 6 assists. So he was a role player. Not quite a Mario Chalmers, but not even a best point guard. Now with them guys getting older and slower and less impactful now, Rondo has stepped up. He looks a little bit better. But he's still not a dominant scorer. Free throw percentage is in the... And, it doesn't work. If anything, what we learned from the Miami series was that when Garnett is on his P's and Q's, Boston is like on a roll. They could beat Miami. But when he's not on his P's and Q's, they can't beat him at all. Another thing to really think about when you're talking about Rondo is the fact that jump shot is shaky. Field goal percentage is low. Free throw percentage is horrible, especially for a point guard. When late in the game, you're going to get fouled and get sent to the free throw line. These are things that Rondo must work on. And I just can't call him the best point guard. I just can't. He won his championship with 3 future Hall of Famers. And these other guys on this list have never even played with a potential Hall of Famer. Like Deron Williams. Now, he's another guy who's been being argued for this. And I like Deron Williams. I think he's a good guard. I thought he was okay in Illinois when, he led them to one of the best records of all time. They just couldn't win the big one. And that's part of my thing with Deron Williams. That as good as he's been, as good as he is setting up other artists, he's just not a winner. He's one of only 2 point guards right now who have put up 17 and 9 over their career. That's in the NBA right now. The only one of 2. So he does amazing things on the court, but that doesn't translate to wins. It doesn't translate to a leadership role. Now, with the requiring Joe Johnson, we might see some progress happen, and that'll be a good thing, and also will put Deron Williams in a higher category for me. But I will say Deron Williams has played with Carlos Boozer and Al Jefferson and many other players who were pretty good. I think it's Jefferson. I can't remember now. I'm getting blank. Shucks. Anyway, he's done that, and it didn't translate to a deep run in the playoffs. And part of me believe that that's because Deron Williams is a good point guard, but not a great point guard. Now, you got guys like Jason Kidd and Steve Nash right in the NBA, and they're terrific. Jason Kidd is the triple-double master of the NBA right now. But no, he's not. He hasn't had one in a few years, but that's the issue that I had with Kidd and Nash. Age has crept in on them. On the all-time greatest list of point guards, I'm sure they're in the top 10. But it's kind of crept in. Age has crept in on them and slowed them down tremendously. Where you just can't call them the best in the game right now. the best in the game of all time? Yes. Yes. Yes, definitely. The question comes into play now. Is it the best player at the point guard position? Or is it the best player to fulfill the role of a point guard? And those are very important questions to ask. If you're talking about the best player at the point guard position, is Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is the focal point of the Bulls offense. He is the beginning and unfortunately the end of the Bulls offense. And being that type of player, he led the Bulls to back-to-back best records in the league. Being that player, he's led the Bulls to the conference final. Unfortunately, when Derrick Rose went down, so did the Bulls. But Derrick Rose puts up 20 plus points and almost 8 assists a game. He is a remarkable floor general and a great athlete. Hopefully, he comes back from the injury with 80% of that explosiveness that he had when he went out with the ACL injury. But he is a tremendous athlete, a tremendous player, and now by far the best player at the PG position. But you're talking about now what the role of a point guard is, which is to distribute the ball, to make plays, to funnel the offense, to direct the offense, to set up other guys around him better. Then I think you have to go with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is that player. He makes guys around him better. Nothing better, no better case of that than when the New Orleans Hornets took on San Antonio and took them to 6 games. Better yet, when the New Orleans Hornets took on LA before he left for the Clippers. He leads the team, and they do wonderful things against great competition. He just never had a great player around him either. You know, he had Chandler, but Chandler, you need offensive help. Now, I don't think Chris Paul can take over a game with his offense. I think Chris Paul needs someone to facilitate that offense with him. I think if Chris Paul could get Blake Griffin to become a more dominant post player, Chris Paul could make a deep push. But pick and rolls gotta get tight. I think that Chris Paul needs that extra help. And he's going to get that with the Clippers, I think. I think they're ready to stop being the Dippers. I think they're ready to make it happen. But unfortunately, I am a Chicagoan. And Derrick Rose is a Chicagoan. And he plays for Chicago. And he rocks my favorite shoe, Adidas. You know. He is by far one of the most exciting players in the NBA. Yeah, he is. And he's probably the most loved since Michael Jordan and Allen Iverson. Yeah, he is. So, my vote is for the best point guard in the NBA is for Derrick Rose. Next to Chris Paul.